This is the construct you are trying to impose on me, and I don't accept it. I mean, I don't think it's necessary for me to join this axis or not, and if I'm not joining this, I must be with the other one. I don't accept that. I mean, I think I'm 1/5 of the world's population. I am, today, the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world. I mean, forget the history, civilization bit, everybody knows that. But I think I'm entitled to have my own side.
Dr. S. Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, is one of the most respected diplomats in the world today. A former Indian Foreign Service officer with over 4 decades of experience in global diplomacy, he has served as India's ambassador to the United States, China, and other key nations. In today's video, we count down the top 10 Jaishankar moments that shook the world only on India Top 10.
Number 10. Pakistan often tries to raise the Kashmir issue at international forums, but at the UN Security Council in 2022, Jaishankar shut them down with a single sentence.
The credibility of the UN depends on its effective response to the key challenges of our times, be it pandemics, climate change, conflicts, or terrorism. While we search for the best solutions, what our discourse must never accept is the normalization of such threats. The question of justifying what the world regards as unacceptable should not even arise. That certainly applies to state sponsorship of cross-border terrorism. Nor can hosting Osama bin Laden and attacking a neighboring parliament serve as credentials to sermonize before this council. That said, I thank all council members for their contributions. I now resume my duty as the President of the Council.
Number 9. At the 2024 Munich Security Conference, Jaishankar was asked why India maintains strong relations with both the West and Russia. His response, a masterclass in strategic diplomacy, quickly went viral.
Your question, do we have multiple options? Answer is yes. Is that a problem? Why should it be a problem? If I'm smart enough to have multiple options, you should be admiring me. You shouldn't be criticizing. Now, is that a problem for other people? I don't think so. I don't think so, certainly in this case and in that case, because look, we try to explain what are the different pulls and pressures which countries have. And it's very hard to have a unidimensional relationship. Now, again, different countries and different relationships have different histories. If I were to look, say, between the US and Germany, it is rooted, there's an alliance nature to it. There's a certain history on which that relationship is grounded. In our case, it's very different. So I don't want you to even inadvertently give the impression that we are purely and unsentimentally transactional. We are not. We get along with people, we believe in things, we share things, we agree on some things, but there are times when when you're located in different places, have different levels of development, different experiences. All of that gets into it. So life is complicated, life is differentiated. And I think it's very important today not to reduce the entire complexity of our world into very sweeping propositions. Yeah. I think that era is today behind us. Yeah. Yeah. So I agree very much with what Tony said, which is good partners provide choices. Smart partners take some of those choices. But sometimes there will be choices on which you say, well, I think I'll pass up on that one.
Number 8. Western nations often criticize other countries for their internal matters, but when the same is done to them, they don't take it well. In April 2023, at an event in Bengaluru, Jaishankar addressed this hypocrisy head-on, responding to the constant foreign commentary on India's domestic affairs.
You want the truthful answer or the diplomatic answer? Okay. There are two reasons. Reason number one is because the West has a bad habit for a long time of commenting on other people. Okay, they somehow think it's some kind of God-given right, huh? and I think they will have to learn only by experience that if you keep doing this, other people will also start commenting, and they will not like it when that happens. But I can see it happen. Okay. The second part of the truth is, we can have our arguments, but when in our arguments you actually invite the world to come and comment on you, okay, then people are more tempted to comment, no? So we also need to not give those very generous invitations to the world saying, oh, there are problems in India, America and Europe, why are you standing by and doing nothing? So if somebody from here goes and says, why are you standing by and saying nothing, then obviously they are going to comment. So part of the problem is them, part of the problem is us, and I think both need fixing.
Number 7. At a UN press conference, a Pakistani journalist provocatively asked Jaishankar how long India would continue financing terrorism. His response was swift and brutal.
You're asking the wrong minister when you say, how long will we do this? Because it is the ministers of Pakistan who will tell you how long Pakistan intends to practice terrorism. So, look, at the end of the day, the world is not stupid, the world is not forgetful, and the world does, increasingly call out countries and organizations and people who indulge in terrorism. And by taking that debate elsewhere, you're not going to hide it. You're not going to confuse anybody anymore. People have figured it out. So my advice is, please clean up your act. Please try to be a good neighbor. Please try and contribute to what the rest of the world is trying to do today, which is economic growth, progress, development. So I hope through your channel that...
Number 6. The United States frequently comments on human rights issues in India. But at a US-India press conference in 2022, Jaishankar made it clear that India can also respond in kind.
I'll put it to you this way, so that there's clarity about where we stand on this matter. Look, people are entitled to have views about us. But we are also equally entitled to have views about their views and about the interests and the lobbies and the vote banks which drive that. So whenever there is a discussion, I can tell you that we will not be reticent about speaking out. I would also, just so that I round off that point, tell you that we also have views on other people's human rights situation, including that of the United States. So we take up human rights issues when they arise in this country, especially when they pertain to our community.
Number 5. In 2023, at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) meeting in Goa, Pakistan's foreign minister suggested that India and Pakistan should work together to fight terrorism. Jaishankar's response was simple and powerful.
India and Pakistan should sit together. Victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism. Victims of terrorism defend themselves, counter acts of terrorism, they call it out, they delegitimize it, and that is exactly what is happening. So to come here and preach these hypocritical words as though we are on the same boat, I mean, they are committing acts of terrorism. And I don't want to jump the gun on what happened today, but I think we're all feeling equally outraged. So I think, let's be very, very clear on this. On this matter, the terrorism matter, I would say Pakistan's credibility is depleting even faster than its forex reserves.
Number 4. At a 2022 press conference in Washington, Jaishankar was asked why India was buying oil from Russia despite Western sanctions. His response exposed European hypocrisy in one line.
Now, as Secretary Blinken has pointed out, we have made a number of statements which outline our position. in the UN, in our parliament, and in other forums. And briefly, what those positions state is that we are against the conflict, we are for dialogue and diplomacy, we are for urgent cessation of violence, and we are prepared to contribute in whatever way to these objectives. I noticed you refer to oil purchases. If you are looking at energy purchases from Russia, I would suggest that your attention should be focused on Europe, which probably we do buy some energy which is necessary for our energy security. But I suspect, looking at the figures, probably our total purchases for the month would be less than what Europe does in an afternoon. So you might want to think about it.
Before we dive into the top 3, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Now, let's jump straight into the top 3. Number 3. At Chatham House in the UK, when questioned about Kashmir, Jaishankar calmly responded that Article 370 was removed, development was underway, and elections were held. What remains, he said, is the return of the stolen part of Kashmir under illegal Pakistani occupation.
On Kashmir, actually we have done, I think, a good job solving most of it. I think removing Article 370 was step number one. Then restoring growth and economic activity and social justice in Kashmir was step number 2. Holding elections, which were done with a very high turnout, was step number 3. I think the part we are waiting for is the return of the stolen part of Kashmir, which is on the under illegal Pakistani occupation. When that's done, I assure you, Kashmir solved.
Number 2. At the GLOBSEC Bratislava Forum in 2022, Jaishankar was asked if India was sitting on the fence regarding Ukraine. His response became one of his most viral moments.
And one of the foremost geopolitical strategists on Wall Street sent me this question for you. And the question is simple. If and when the choice comes down to it, not today, not tomorrow, but in the future, and she strongly believes it will, for India, will it become, in terms of support, the US or China? And that will be kind of a defining moment that comes out of the situation that we face with Russia right now.
Look, number one, why I wanted to interrupt you in a way. I mean, I'm partly reacting to the previous observation. Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. That if it is you, it's yours. If it is me, it's ours. I think that's something. And I see, reflections of that. Again, in terms of, there is a linkage today which is being made. A linkage between China and India and what's happening in Ukraine. So come on, guys. I mean, China and India happened way before anything happened in Ukraine. So the Chinese don't need a precedent somewhere else in the world on how to, engage us or not engage us, or be difficult with us or not be difficult with us. So, as I said, I just see this as, frankly, a not very clever argument, a very self-serving one.
Number 1. At the United Nations General Assembly in 2023, Jaishankar delivered a powerful message that signified India's growing influence in world affairs.
At a time when East-West polarization is so sharp and the North-South divide so deep, the New Delhi summit also affirms that diplomacy and dialogue are the only effective solutions. The international order is diverse, and we must cater for divergences, if not differences. The days when a few nations set the agenda and expected others to fall in line are over. As the United Nations itself symbolizes, finding common ground is an imperative. To listen to others and to respect their viewpoints, this is not weakness, it is the basics of cooperation. Only then can collective efforts on global issues be successful.
Dr. S. Jaishankar has redefined India's global image with his bold and fearless diplomacy. Which moment was your favorite? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more such content.
Don't use necessarily a caricature version of one situation as a yardstick to pass a sweeping judgment.